Welcome to the Explainer. When we think of Paris, we instantly picture the romance, right? The Eiffel Tower, strolling along the Seine River, the bright lights of the city. But right beneath those celebrated streets, there's a completely different, honestly kind of terrifying, mysterious world just waiting in the dark. Today, we're exploring the dark and fascinating history of the Paris catacombs.
So, what actually lies beneath the City of Light? It's almost hard to wrap your head around, but as tourists are sitting up there sipping espresso at sunny cafes or touring world-famous museums, there is a hidden labyrinth stretching for hundreds of miles, literally right beneath their feet. And if you want a number that truly puts the scale of this underground world into perspective, it's 6 million. 6 million. That is the staggering exact number of people whose remains rest in absolute silence in this subterranean maze. It's a massive, chilling cemetery hidden entirely out of plain sight. Okay, let's dive into this, because the contrast here is just incredible. Up top, we've got the bright surface city, the cafes, the monuments, the romance, but it's existing directly on top of this city of shadows. A world defined by abandoned quarries, absolute darkness, and millions upon millions of bones. So, how did this even happen?
Section 1. The Stones That Built Paris. Practical Origins.
Well, this massive underground network actually started out for surprisingly practical reasons. Way back in Roman times, builders began extracting limestone from beneath the area. And this limestone was incredibly valuable. In fact, it was used to build some of France's most iconic churches and palaces. Fast forward to the Middle Ages. Paris is booming, the demand for building materials absolutely explodes, and workers just keep digging deeper and deeper. Century after century of this mining eventually left behind an enormous, completely empty subterranean maze. But while the underground was being hollowed out, a massive and frankly horrific problem was brewing above ground. By the 1700s, Paris was severely overcrowded, and the city's church graveyards were overflowing. The absolute worst offender was the Cemetery of the Innocents. It had essentially become a public health disaster. Mass graves were packed so tightly that the overwhelming smell of decomposition literally spread through nearby streets. There were even horrifying reports of human remains surfacing after heavy rains. Just an absolute nightmare. And then, in 1780, they finally hit the breaking point. After a period of really heavy rains, a wall surrounding the Cemetery of the Innocents literally collapsed. Thousands of decomposing bodies and human remains spilled directly into nearby basements and properties. It completely shocked the city. The French government knew they couldn't just sweep this under the rug anymore. They needed a drastic solution, and they needed it immediately.
Section 2. The Empire of Death. An underground tomb.
The government's answer was actually sitting right beneath their feet the whole time, those abandoned Roman quarries. The logistics of this are haunting, but in 1786, the process began. First, under the cover of absolute darkness, wagons started transporting human remains from cemeteries all over Paris down into the tunnels. Second, priests would walk alongside them to perform religious ceremonies for the deceased. And finally, workers placed the bones below. This incredibly grim process happened night after night, year after year. Now, initially, the bones were just sort of piled up randomly down there. But in the early 19th century, an official named Inspector Louis-Étienne Ericart Duthrury stepped in. And he did something totally unexpected. He reorganized these chaotic remains into elaborate, symmetrical architecture. Workers carefully arranged actual walls of skulls and built striking columns out of femurs that stretched all the way down the corridors. He took this overflow storage space and transformed it into something uniquely artistic and deeply, deeply unsettling. To really cement that chilling atmosphere, a stark inscription was placed right at the entrance. It reads, "Stop. This is the Empire of Death." Talk about a sobering reminder of mortality, right? That is the exact greeting that 19th century tourists and French high society saw when they would actually tour these eerie passages by candlelight. Section 3. The Secret Underground World. Forbidden Tunnels. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the area open to tourists today, it's just a tiny, tiny fraction of the entire network. Beyond the official, well-lit paths, this fascinating subculture has emerged, the cataphiles. These are urban explorers who illegally navigate the hidden, forbidden tunnels beneath Paris. They dedicate literally years of their lives to learning and mapping the underground maze. They host secret gatherings down there, and they're constantly having to dodge these special police patrols that are deployed every single year just to keep people out of these unstable areas.
Section 4. Mysteries in the Dark. Modern legends. Because these zones are completely dark and strictly unauthorized, they hold some very real modern legends and absolute dangers. Take the story of Philibert Aspard. He was a hospital doorkeeper in the late 18th century who wandered into the tunnels. Nobody really knows exactly why he went down there, but he became completely disoriented and lost in the pitch black. He vanished. His remains were reportedly found years later, deep within the quarry network. And look, while some details of his story are debated today, it serves as a seriously chilling reminder of just how easily you can disappear in that massive maze. But wait, the strange discoveries continue right up to the modern day. Back in the 1990s, the folklore exploded when a dropped video camera was allegedly found showing someone wandering the dark passages before suddenly breaking into a dead run in absolute terror. Today, explorers regularly uncover hidden chambers, meeting rooms, and improvised underground art galleries. But get this. Most unbelievably, in 2004, police discovered a fully functional, elaborate underground movie theater. It was completely wired up with electrical power and a projection screen. No way, right?
Section 5. A City of Shadows. Time Capsule.
So when we finally come back up to the surface, it kind of changes how we view the beautiful city above, doesn't it? The catacombs are this profound time capsule. They teach us about early engineering, the harsh realities of survival, and the incredible human ingenuity required to solve a massive crisis. So the crucial question I want to leave you with is this. If 6 million voices rest silently beneath the streets, what other secrets is the City of Light hiding in the dark? Keep this massive hidden kingdom in mind the next time you see a beautiful photograph of Paris. Thank you so much for joining me on The Explainer today. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and as always, stay curious.